Welcome to another week of the Booktube SFF Babbles. I missed last week, for which I apologize. I wasn't able to film, but I am back this week for this week's Babbles, and today we are going to be talking about some fantasy favorites. And as you guys know, I'm a lover of fantasy, so this is going to be a hard video to film. Hello everyone, it is Samantha and I hope you guys have had a great week so far. I'm excited about today's Booktube SFF Awards Babbles video. That is a mouthful, because today it is going to be my fantasy favorites. So some of my favorite fantasy books, authors, things of that nature. So brace yourselves to see some hardcore fangirling. So basically the Booktube SFF Babbles is part of the Booktube SFF Awards. If you guys are not sure what that is, I'll link the information in the Goodreads group down below so you guys can be sure to check it out and participate. But without further ado, let's dive into some of my favorite fantasy things. So what's a fantasy favorites video without me gushing over Robin Hobb? So you knew that was coming. Let's just get it over with right now. So needless to say, I'm going to be highlighting Robin Hobb right now. I feel that everyone should read Robin Hobb. And I get asked all the time where you should start with reading Robin Hobb, and really, the Farseer trilogy is the place to start. And the Farseer trilogy is her first trilogy, and all of her works in the Land of the Elderlings build off of this first trilogy. So it lays the groundwork. It's not her best trilogy, though I personally really enjoyed it, and they definitely get better from here on out, but this really does set up everything that happens in the rest of her books, and the Fitz and the Fool are the two main characters in almost all of her books as well, so this is where you're introduced to those characters. So the Farseer trilogy consists of Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest, and as you guys can see, they get significantly larger as they go along, but trust me, you will fly through them. They are so good. I've actually done a whole video on Robin Hobb, an author highlights video. I'll link that down below, so I go a little bit more in depth into her books, where the best place to start is, which of course is this series, and just anything else Robin Hobb related I kind of put in that video where I gushed over all of her stuff because I love her so much. She's also a great starting place for literary fiction readers, somebody who loves literary fiction but maybe has wanting to read some fantasy. I think that she is a great place to start. Her books are very much character focused, not so heavy into magic as some other books are, and so they're really great. Her characterization is impeccable, the writing is fantastic, and I will just forever be a Robin Hobb fangirl. I love her books so much. So yes, definitely check out Robin Hobb if you have not done so already. You will not regret it. Also, fun fact, I'm going to be hosting a Robin Hobb read-along starting in May, so keep your eye out for that. I'm hoping to set this up and maybe we can all read 1 or 2 books by her a month. There'll be a Goodreads group and all that good stuff, so look out for that in the future. Of course, I cannot talk about my favorite fantasy without bringing up my favorite fantasy author, the man himself who got me into fantasy, and that is the Lord of the Rings and JRR Tolkien himself. This is my box set, which includes The Hobbit and the trilogy. I need to finish my reread of this series this year because it's been far too long, but I love Tolkien. I read his books when I was 11 years old, and the rest is history. It's how it got me into fantasy, and I've been obsessed ever since. Even my shirt here, which is "Not all who wander are lost," is a quote from the Lord of the Rings. It is from the poem that is about Aragorn. So even my clothing shows my love for Tolkien. I know Tolkien's not for everyone. The trilogy kind of seems to be a love it or hate it thing. I personally love it. I think it's fantastic, and the world that he built is just amazing, and it is definitely the roots of modern fantasy. A lot of today's authors can thank Tolkien, I think, for kind of setting up what he did in the fantasy genre. So he's definitely a very influential author in the terms of the genre in general, and I definitely think that he should be highlighted in this video. Another fantasy favorite of mine is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. This is a fantasy that is not really magical in any way, but it is still a fantasy setting. It takes place kind of in the medieval era, and it takes place in a fantasy world that doesn't exist, and I absolutely love it. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the film, which was written by the same author who wrote the book, and I love the film and the book so much. It is definitely one of my favorite stories. I love this story as a child, and it is still one of my favorites to this day. It's just full of a lot of swashbuckling fun and humor, and I just found it so enjoyable. And this edition I absolutely love because it has tons of really cool illustrations that I'm trying to flip to, like this guy right here. Princess Buttercup jumps off the boat, and it's all glossy. I love glossy pages, so definitely another favorite of mine. Another favorite fantasy author that I want to feature is Michael J Sullivan, the author of the Rhaenyra Revelations series and the prequel novels. First book of which is Sept of Swords, which I'm currently lending out, so you're getting Rise of Empire right now. I love his books. They're like such fun fantasy. They're like your typical traditional fantasy, but he puts some of his own fun twists on it. They're kind of humorous, but there are also a lot of moments that will kind of make you tear up, and I love it so much. He's such a fun author. These are super super fun books, and they're a perfect starting place actually for anybody who is looking to start fantasy. If you're looking for a fun read to kind of ease yourself into the genre, I think Michael J. Sullivan's Rhaeria series is the perfect starting place. They're just a lot of fun. Royce and Hadrian have the best bromance, and they are just two of my favorite characters. And Michael J. Sullivan is just a really great author in general, and he's really, really great with his fans. He'll take the time to talk to you. He'll comment on your video if you mention him in a video, and talk to him on Goodreads. He's really, really personable, and I think that's great that he really takes the time to kind of connect with his fans too. So it just kind of makes the whole reading experience even more enjoyable when you know the author's pretty cool too. Another favorite that I want to talk about right now that I haven't talked about in a while actually is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. I love this series so much. It is a lot of fun. It is full of a lot of heistiness. There's a lot of heists. The Gentleman Bastards are this thieving band, and they kind of take on these big heists where they rob from the rich, but they don't give it to the poor. They kind of keep it for themselves. But it's full of a lot of humor, and the way that he weaves the plot together is like magnificent. The way that he puts all of these threads out there in the beginning of the book, and then he ties them up into a neat little awesome bow at the end is fantastic. He's a phenomenal author. His writing is just so well done, and is full of a lot of humor and fun. And this, I cannot wait for the fourth book. Couple more months and we finally get book 4, and I cannot wait for that book. And the last book series author I want to talk about is one that you don't actually hear a lot about on Booktube, and I think that's sad, and that is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. This is the first book, Aragon, and I have to say Aragon isn't the best book in the series. He did write this book when he was 15 years old though, so it's pretty impressive for a 15-year-old, but the books definitely get better as they go along, and it's just full of a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of tropey, cliched fantasy, but I really enjoyed it, and it has a lot of dragons in it, and how can you not like dragons, because dragons are kind of cool. So I really enjoyed this series. I think it's a lot of fun. It follows our young protagonist Aragon, who discovers a dragon's egg when dragons aren't supposed to exist anymore, and this kind of opens up a whole world of trouble for him as he tries to rescue the dragon egg, and he becomes a dragon rider and tries to save the world from the evil overlord. So it's kind of your typical coming of age fantasy, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend people give it a chance. I mean, the first book, like I said, isn't the best, but trust me, it does get better, and I'm excited because I hear he's writing a new series, and I cannot wait for that series because it's been years since he's released a book, so I'm very much looking forward to that one. Alright guys, those are some of my fantasy favorites. You'll have to let me know what one of your favorite fantasy authors or books are, because I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until my next video, happy reading! Bye!